It should be good now, I think. See, make sure this looks right. What's up, chat? All right, there we go. We did it right this time. Let's get it. Oh, wait, hold on. All right, everybody. We fixed it. What's up, chat? How we doing today? Everybody, if you could, please make sure to hit that like.
16 months ago, in April of 2023, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. I began this journey as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
so
it.
dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption.
I wish it would have worked the first time.
Big tech, big ag, and big money.
Appreciate it.
When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent.
Thank you.
The mainstream of American public.
So I tried to balance it up. So I tried to make like that underneath right there a little bit bigger. So then that way there's no covering, and I just made my camera a little bit smaller. Figured that would be the best look as possible.
Politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventionalism said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle.
Right. That was my key because like I was looking at my gaming and like chat's a little bit blocked on the game. It's not too bad. I maybe might move it up a little bit more, but I was looking. I'm like, okay, this will be perfect to where the chat won't fucking block the video at all, and we could just watch it. I want to actually look at it myself. Yeah, it does look really good.
Arbitrary rules for collecting signatures.
Yeah.
I would need over 1 million signatures.
You think? Just do like a full screen on the gaming? I might.
And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. The naysayers told us that we were climbing a glass version of Mount Impossible. So the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong.
Hit that thumbs up, everybody. Double click the screen.
Of mainstream media organs.
Got the gameplay like an inch.
We inspired a massive independent political movement. More than 100,000 volunteers.
Like maybe take the top off a little bit or something on the bottom.
Our nation's decline. Many work 10-hour days, sometimes in blizzards and blazing heat. They sacrifice family time, personal commitments, and sleep month after month, energized by a shared vision of a nation healed of its divisions. They set up tables at churches and farmers markets.
Yeah, what are you doing, Tyler?
Door to door. In Utah and in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms, convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, to take I met a tall, athletic volunteer. And in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms, convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, to take off their gloves, and to sign legibly. During a heat wave in Nevada, I met a tall, athletic volunteer who cheerfully told me that he had lost 25 pounds collecting signatures in 117-degree heat. To finance this effort, young Americans donated their lunch money, and senior citizens gave up part of their Social Security checks. Our 50-state organization collected those millions of signatures and more. No presidential campaign in American political history has ever done that. And so I thank all those dedicated volunteers and congratulate the campaign staff who coordinated this enormous logistical feat. Your accomplishments were regarded as impossible.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was thinking the same thing, Josh. Maybe I can make the flag like a white and black or something, or yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not too bad though. That's the good thing. It's not too bad. Maybe I could put a filter over it, like put like a blue filter. Oh, this country would be amazing if we ran it. I'd be president for sure. Without a doubt, I'm president.
Glass Mountain, you pulled off a miracle. You achieved what all the pundits said could never be done.
Yeah, all you need is a
You
black
have my
overlay. That's
deepest
right.
gratitude.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to put something there to like make it look like a little bit cool, but maybe I could put like some kind of, maybe do it in black and white. Do the flag in black and white. No, dude, I'd be fucking better than Trump. I'd be 1000% better than Trump. Like, I'd be a no nonsense motherfucker, boy.
I'm never going to forget that, not just for what you did for my campaign, but for the sacrifices you made
Yeah.
because you love our country. You showed everyone that democracy is still possible here. It continues to survive in the press and in the idealistic human energies that still thrive beneath a canvas of neglect and of official and institutional corruption. Today, I'm here to tell you that I will not allow your efforts to go to waste. I'm here to tell you that I will leverage your tremendous accomplishments to serve the ideals that we share, the ideals of peace, of prosperity, of freedom, of health, all the ideals that motivated my campaign. I'm here today to describe the path forward that you have opened with your commitment and with your hard labors.
I love it.
Now, in an honest system, I believe that I would have won the election. In a system that
Look, I'm not gonna lie. He might be right. I don't agree with everything that RFK says, but honestly, if it were between RFK and Nikki Haley, I don't know if I could bring myself to just completely outright vote for RFK as a Democrat. It'd be really hard, but I definitely consider him over Nikki Haley. I honestly don't think I'd vote if that were the case, but still.
my father and my uncles thrived in a system with open debates, with fair primaries, with regularly scheduled debates, with fair primaries, and with a truly independent media,
Without a doubt,
untainted by
she'd
government
get
propaganda
smoked.
and censorship. In a system of
She'd get
nonpartisan courts and election boards, everything would be
smoked.
different. After all, the polls consistently showed me beating each of the other candidates, both in favorability and also in head-to-head matchups. But I'm sorry to say that while
And I want to say this for anybody who doesn't feel like this is a very good move for Trump to have him running with him, yeah, me too. Me too, Tyler. So here's what I don't understand why people don't like about him, right? It's not like he's running for everything that he stands on as a president, right? He's going to be in charge of specific things. And Trump's going to place him where he really needs to be, where he'll thrive to show how great he can make certain things, right? because he's all about the healthcare system and how that they're keeping us sick, and the big pharma's just making billions and billions, if not trillions. I don't even know what big pharma's worth, how much money they make off of keeping us sick, right? And he's all about finding out the corruption within the FBI and CIA. I don't know if he's going to have anything to do with that, but he's going to be in charge of all the food. Like, you can't. He's going to thrive when Trump's president. People don't understand that Robert Kennedy is going to thrive with what he does.
Democracy may still be alive at the grassroots. It has become little more than a slogan for our political institutions, for our media, and for our government, and most sadly at all for me, for the Democratic Party. In the name of saving democracy, the Democratic Party set itself to dismantling it, lacking confidence in its candidate, that its candidate could win in a fair election at the voting booth. The DNC waged continual legal warfare against both President Trump and myself. Each time that our volunteers turned in those towering boxes of signatures needed to get on the ballot, the DNC dragged us into court, state after state, attempting to erase their work
Right.
and to
Like,
subvert the will of the voters.
bro, how do people not understand this yet, dude? There was no primary. There was no talking to the press. There was no voting to see who they wanted to be the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. This is pathetic. If I was a Democrat, I would be pissed. I would be salty. I would not be voting for Kamala Harris. I don't care. If I was a Democrat, I would not vote for her just for the fact that they're trying to tell me I have to vote for her.
Who had signed those petitions. It deployed DNC-aligned judges to throw me and other candidates
Same
off
thing
the
they're doing to
ballot
Trump.
and to throw President Trump in jail. It ran a sham primary that was rigged to prevent any serious challenge to
Yes.
President Biden.
Bro, Joe Manchin literally left the Democratic Party because of this and tried coming back when he found out that Joe was dropping out, just to come to find out that Kamala was just being installed as the presidential nominee. It's pathetic, dude. It's pathetic.
Then, when a predictably bungled debate performance precipitated the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview
Right.
or an unscripted encounter with voters for
It's just
35
pathetic.
years.
It's pathetic.
This is profoundly undemocratic. How are people to choose when they don't know whom they are choosing? And how can this look to the rest of the world? My father and my uncle were always conscious of America's image abroad because of our nation's role as the template for democracy, a role model for democratic processes, and the leader of the free world. Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing.
Nothing.
No policies.
Nothing.
No
Nothing.
interviews.
The chick's running on nothing.
debate.
And people are just sucking it up like fucking sheep, dude. This chick is running on nothing. No policies, no nothing, dude. Everything that she said she took from Trump with the no tax on tips. Everything, dude. And then JD Vance said he wanted to do something for like new home buyers, and she tried to one-upsmanship him. Like, come on, dude. This is just pathetic. These people run on nothing. They run on hot air and gas, and people just suck it up.
Only smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And balloons in a highly
Yeah.
produced
Give you a fucking
circus.
circus. Here's a fucking circus. Here's Megan Thee Stallion. RFK sounds like he was on the business end of a glory hole for too long. That's hilarious, bro.
There,
You, Vaughn, do you know who Gavin McInnes is? We'll watch the video here in a minute. Uh, I'll show his one of his co-hosts. He does uh he does like voices really good, and he does a little thing where he's like he plays as Jesse Lee Peterson and RFK, and they're like having a talk with each other. We'll play it after this.
in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day.
Yeah, that shit was
Well, who
crazy.
needs a policy when you have Trump to hate? In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days. I do interviews every day. Many of you have interviewed me. Anybody who asks gets to interview me.
Oh
Some
shit,
days
yeah,
I
that
do
dude
as
is
many
funny.
as
Yeah,
10.
I'll show it to you in a minute, Vaughn.
President Trump, who actually
Make
was
sure to like the
nominated
stream
and
for me if
won
you
an
could, buddy.
election,
How you doing today?
also does interviews daily. How did the Democratic Party choose a candidate that has never done an interview or debate
Right,
during
it's
the
crazy.
entire election cycle? We know the answers. They did it by weaponizing the government agencies. They did it by abandoning democracy. They did it by suing the opposition and by disenfranchising American voters. What most alarms me isn't how the Democratic Party conducts its internal affairs or runs its candidates. What alarms me is the resort to censorship and media control and the weaponization of the federal agencies. When a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression, and that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot.
Facts.
But here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot.
Right, and that's what
And
people
our
are failing to
targeted
realize.
networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs. Over the course of more than a year, in a campaign where my poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s.
Dude, if they would have let if they for it legit right now, if they would have let RFK run as the Democratic nominee, he might win. He might have won. For real. He might have won. But they would never allow that because he's too anti-establishment in some aspects. Like he's anti-big pharma. He's against like all the foods that are being brought into our country. So there's like a lot of things that like they definitely would not let him even get an opportunity. And that's what it is. There's so many more Democrats that like at least they could have a little bit of common sense to them, right? You don't think so? I think the Democrats would have voted for RFK. You don't think? You really don't think that? Huh. That's interesting. Why do you think that, Vaughn? Do you think it's because of what I just said? How he's against like big pharma and all and stuff like that? Yeah. So do you think that's like a huge thing on the Democratic side? I don't know. You know, I don't I voted Obama the first time. I couldn't vote for him again the second time. But I also wasn't voting for Mitt Romney either, so it was like it was just a wash for me. I didn't vote during Bush's second term, which was my first time I could have voted. Um and then I voted for Trump. And I voted for Trump both times and I'm voting for Trump again here in a couple months. But so do you think that that's that big of a thing to Democrats, Vaughn, for them to not vote for RFK? I don't really know. Because, like, you know, there's like things that Trump might say that I might not necessarily agree with, but I'm still, you know, I'm not, you're not going to agree with everybody on everything. You really think it's that big of a deal to them, huh? How are you with the vaccine stuff, Vaughn, if you don't mind me asking? I'm pretty anti-vax myself. I feel like it does a lot more harm than it does good to us, personally. Like I never got a COVID shot, and I never will. And I'm glad I didn't.
The DNC-aligned mainstream media networks maintain a near perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in
Okay,
1992,
okay. I'm not sold on it either. I felt it was rushed. I think, and I heard it. A lot of them got taken off the thing. I'm not for any vaccines though, to be honest. Like I remember I didn't have a fucking flu vaccine for like 10 years, and then I randomly got one, and I got sick that year, and I hardly ever got the flu. And now ever since then, like I've gotten the flu like 3 times.
Ross
Just
Perot
recently, I
gave
had it.
34 interviews
Yeah.
on mainstream
Hey,
networks.
I don't mind you calling it that because he was president and he takes credit for it. Um, here's the thing, though. With like how you say, Democrats are more pro vaccine and stuff like that. That was technically for them, right? Because I don't know very many conservatives. I mean, obviously some did. I don't know a lot of I know a lot of conservatives refused to take the jab personally. So yeah, it's definitely a toss
In
up.
contrast, during the
I
16
don't. I
months
didn't.
since I
I don't
declared,
trust it either.
ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those networks instead ran a continuous deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory smears. Some of those same
Vaughn, do you watch on your phone or do you watch on a computer? Because do you like this format better for your phone than on a big screen? Because in all honesty, I could do both. I could, stream a big stream and the little one, but I figure I'd just try this for a little bit, see how it goes.
networks and colluded with the DNC to keep me off the debate stage. Representatives of those networks are in this room right now, and I'll just take a moment to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility, the duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear, skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power. You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power. This week, a federal judge, Terry Doughty, upheld my injunction against President Biden, calling the White House's censorship project, quote, the most egregious violation of the First Amendment in the history of the United States of America. Doughty's previous 155-page decision details how just 37 hours after he took the oath of office, swearing to uphold the Constitution, President Biden and his White House opened up a portal and then invited the CIA, the FBI, CISA, which is a censorship agency, it's the center of the censorship industrial complex, DHS, the IRS, and other agencies to censor me and other political dissidents on social media. Even today, users who try to post my campaign videos to Facebook or YouTube get messages that this content violates community standards. 2 days after Judge Doughty rendered his decision this week, Facebook was still attaching warning labels to an online petition
That's crazy.
calling on ABC to include me in the upcoming debate. They said that violates community standards, their community standards. The mainstream media was once the guardian of the First Amendment and democratic principles, and it's joined this systemic attack on democracy. It also, the media justifies your
Yeah,
censorship on the grounds of
flying maggot.
combating misinformation. But governments and oppressors don't censor lies. They don't fear lies. They fear the truth.
Yep,
And that's what they censor.
that's very true.
And I don't want any of this to sound like a personal complaint, because it's not.
Yeah,
For
just take out the D.
me, it's all part of a journey, and it's a journey that I signed up with. But I need to make these observations because I think they're critical for us doing the thing that we need to do as citizens in a democracy to assess where we are in this country and what our democracy still looks
D-E,
like,
Tyler, you know the
and the
D.
assumptions about U.S. leadership around the globe. And
Masturbator.
are we living, are we really still a role model for democracy in this country? Or have we made it, a kind of a joke? And here's the good news. While mainstream outlets denied me a critical platform, they didn't shut down my ideas, which have especially flourished among young voters and independent voters, thanks to the alternative media. Many months ago, I promised the American people that I would withdraw from the race if I became a spoiler. A spoiler is someone who will alter the outcome of the election but has no chance of winning. In my heart, I no longer believe
Which is exactly what the fucking libertarians did last year. Or in 2020.
that I have
This is exactly what the fuck they did, bro. I swear. This man's smart. He's a fucking genius.
a realistic path to electoral victory in the face of this relentless systematic censorship and media control. So I cannot in good conscience ask my staff and volunteers to keep working their long hours or ask my donors to keep giving when I cannot honestly tell them that I have a real path to the White House. Furthermore, our polling consistently showed that by staying on the ballot in the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree
Smart
on the
man.
most existential issues:
Smart man.
censorship, war, and
Smart
chronic
fucking
disease.
man.
Last summer, it looked like no candidate was willing to negotiate a quick end to the Ukraine war, to tackle chronic disease epidemic, to protect free speech, our constitutional freedoms, to clean corporate influence out of our government,
Yes.
or to defy the neocons and their agenda of endless military adventurism. But now one of the two candidates has adopted these issues as his own, to the point where he has asked to enlist me in his administration. I'm speaking, of course, of Donald Trump. Less than 2 hours after President Trump narrowly escaped assassination, Callie Means called me on my cell phone. I was then in Las Vegas. Callie is arguably the leading advocate for food safety, for soil regeneration, and for ending the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying America's health and ruining our economy.
Seriously.
Callie has exposed the insidious corruption at the FDA, the NIH, the HHS, and the USDA that has caused the epidemic. Callie had been working on and off for my campaign, advising me on those subjects since the beginning. And those subjects have been my primary focus for the last 20 years. I was delighted when Callie told me that day that he had also been advising President Trump. He told me President Trump was anxious to talk to me about chronic disease and other subjects, and to explore avenues of cooperation. He asked if I would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day. A few weeks later, I met again with President Trump and his family members and closest advisors in Florida. In a series of long, intense discussions, I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues. In those meetings, he suggested that
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so, though, right, Vaughn? You know, he's gonna you wanna weigh your oppositions out and see what the best route is for you, correct? Right? And so he asked Harris. We don't know what I don't. We don't know if she said yes or no as well. I don't know. Maybe she said no. Maybe you do know, but I don't know. That's just how politics works. Trump was one. They say Trump was a Democrat, but I believe he's always voted Republican. I think that was a lie. I think he just had a lot of Democratic friends. But yeah, I don't know.
We joined forces as a unity party. We talked about Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals. That arrangement would allow us to disagree publicly and privately and fiercely, if need be, on issues over which we differ, while working together on the existential issues upon which we are in concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first
I don't even know. Did he ask Harris for a spot?
issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences.
Asia donated
But we were
Harris
aligned
campaign
with
for
each
AG
other
account.
on other
Okay.
key issues, like ending the forever wars,
Yeah. So maybe he
ending the
was.
childhood disease.
I know towards the end, like not the end, but like as he got older, I think he became more conservative Republican. But see what I'm saying? Like you gotta go with what aligns with what you want.
These epidemics, securing the border, protecting freedom of speech, unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, getting the U.S. intelligence agencies out of the business of propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans
Yes.
and interfering with our elections. Following my first discussion,
Everybody
with
hit that
President
like
Trump,
for me if you could. All you gotta do
I
is double
tried
tap the screen twice.
unsuccessfully to open similar discussions
Just click.
with
Look, watch.
Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me. Suspending my candidacy is a heart-rending decision for me, but I'm convinced that it's the best hope for ending the Ukraine war and ending the chronic disease epidemic that is eroding our nation's vitality from the inside, and for finally protecting free speech. I feel a moral obligation to use this opportunity to save millions of American children above all things. For 19 years, I prayed every morning that God would put me in a position to end this calamity. The chronic disease crisis was one of the primary reasons for my running for president, along with ending censorship in the Ukraine war. It's the reason I've made the heart-wrenching decision to suspend my campaign and to support President Trump. This decision is agonizing for me because of the difficulties it causes my wife and my children and my friends. But I have the certainty that this is what I've meant to do. And that certainty gives me internal peace, even in storms. If I'm given the chance to fix the chronic disease crisis and reform our food production, I promise that within 2 years, we will watch chronic disease burden lift dramatically. We will make Americans healthy again. Within 4 years, America will be a healthy country. We will be stronger, more resilient, more optimistic, and happier. I won't fail in doing this. Ultimately, the future, however it happens, is in God's hands and in the hands of the American voters and those of President Trump. If President Trump is elected and honors his word, the vast burden of chronic disease that now demoralizes and bankrupts the country will disappear. This is a spiritual journey for me. I reached my decision through deep prayer, through hard-nosed logic, and I asked myself, what choices must I make to maximize my chances to save America's children and restore national health? I felt that if I refused this opportunity, I would not be able to look myself in the mirror, knowing that I could have saved lives of countless children and reversed this country's chronic disease epidemic. I'm 70 years old. I may have a decade to be effective. I can't imagine that President Harris would allow me or anyone to solve these dire problems. After 8 years of President Harris, any opportunity for me to fix the problem will be out of my reach forever. President Trump has told me that he wants this to be his legacy. I'm choosing to believe that this time he will follow through.
Yep.
His son, his biggest donors, his closest friends, and all support this objective. My joining the Trump campaign will be a difficult sacrifice for my wife and children, but worthwhile if there's even a small chance of saving these kids. Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country and our children is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
Yes.
That's why I launched my campaign to unify America. My dad and uncle made such an enduring mark on the character of our nation, not so much because of any particular policies that they promoted, but because they were able to inspire profound love for our country and to fortify our sense of ourselves as a national community held together by ideals. They were able to put their love into the intentions and hearts of ordinary Americans and to unify a national populist movement of Americans, blacks and whites, Hispanics, urban and rural Americans. They inspired affection and love and high hopes and a culture of kindness.
Vaughn, are you still here?
That continue to
We'll watch that video here in a second if you are.
From their memory. That's the spirit on which I ran my campaign and that I intend to bring into the campaign of President Trump. Instead of vitriol and polarization, I will appeal to the values that unite us.
Okay.
The goals that we could achieve if only we weren't at each other's throats. The most unifying theme for all Americans is that we all love our children. If we all unite around that issue now, we can finally give them the protection, the health, and the future that they deserve. Thank you all very much.
I think this is it.
So basically,
We were just chatting about whatever
so
traveling and life and
you're,
whatnot.
All right, thanks for calling.
but basically, sir, you're nonchalant actually wound up getting the woman to try to court you, which they looked at studies about this, and they said, why do men always chase women? It's not the Sadie Hawking dance out there, for God's sake. No, but for real.
Bro, you don't even have to say shit. Just keep doing that. No one knows what the fuck you said. Just keep
Oh, that's almost as bad as Jesse Lee Peterson.
No, well, we had a great interview.
Listen.
So tell me what it's like with the vaccines. Well, it's very crazy what they're doing. Wow, that's amazing. No, it's actually not amazing at all. It's actually quite terrifying.
That must be a great way to pick up chicks. Where you could just walk up, there's like 3 girls, and you just walk up and go, great time. Look at these beautiful girls, prettiest girls in the world.
Well, I can do a Trump impression.
Let's hear it.
I don't like to brag, but all right, I'll do it. Okay. Frankly, folks, for too long, the American people, wow, I think she likes me. I'll even kiss the men. Wow. A lot of beautiful people. Wow. Wow.
That doesn't sound like Trump.
I think that Asian kid left some wires down here electrocuting my shins while I'm talking. I've spent so many hours in a centrifuge. They've never done a vaccine study where they spin it around, but trust me.
So funny, dude. That is so hilarious. Did you guys see the
Discover Boating and
So this is his
Production
speech that he had at the
safe
thing.
boating tips. Navigating the open sea.
Tonight, I'm very pleased to welcome a man.
I think
who
I'm
has
gonna have to
been
mute
an
it.
Incredible champion for so many of these values that we all share, and we've shared them for a long time. I don't think too many of you people have heard of him. He's very low key. He's a very low key person, but he's highly respected. He is a great person. I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, I got it muted. I can't play the music. I already know I'll get a copyright strike. Not a strike, but they'll block monetization from my stream. How do you guys like this format as opposed to the other format? Do you guys think I should stick like this, or should I go back the other way? I'm just trying to figure out, best way for reaching a wider audience. Here we go.
And he deserves it. He deserves it.
What's up, chat? How are y'all doing? If you're new here, please make sure to hit that like and consider hitting that subscription. Other one is better than me. I'm not your typical audience. Okay. You think it's better to do the other format? I don't know. I was just trying that. So I could honestly, Vaughn, I could do both if I wanted to. I was just doing this because I was trying to reach another audience. But I could do both.
An extraordinary campaign for President of the United States. I know. Because he also went after me a couple of times.
I think maybe it's best to do both with the political one.
And I mean this sincerely. Had he been allowed to enter the Democrat primary, he would have easily beaten Joe Biden, but they wouldn't let him in.
It's true.
They put up rules I've never seen.
Yeah.
65% of the vote in order to run, little things like that. His candidacy has inspired millions and millions of Americans, raised critical issues that have been too long ignored in this country, and brought together people from across the political spectrum in a positive campaign.
I'd walk out like this.
Grounded in the American values of his father, Robert Kennedy, a great man, and his uncle, President John F.
Just something light.
And I know that they are looking down right now, and they are very, very proud of Bobby. I'm proud of Bobby. You want to know the truth? And I don't think I've ever introduced anyone that got applause like he just got. I must tell you, I don't think it's true. I don't think I've ever introduced anybody that got applause.
Boy, the establishment's about to be scared of this one.
Amazing. It's true. Amazing. Soon after I can't even believe I have to say this, nearly assassinated in Pennsylvania last month, Bobby called me to express his best wishes. He knows firsthand the risks incurred by leaders who stand up to the corrupt political establishment. When you stand up, you bring on some trouble for yourself, but you have to do what's right.
Everybody go into the poll I just made.
I will tell you, we are both in this to do what's right for the country. That's one thing I can tell you. He lost his father and uncle in service to our country, and Bobby himself was subject to repeated threats to his safety during the course of his campaign while being denied protection by the Harris-Biden administration.
We got one vote.
And this is a tribute in honor of Bobby. I am announcing tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts.
Yes. We already know, Tyler.
And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
Let's get it. Dope, baby.
will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month. But I tell you, I have never had more people ask me, please, sir, release the documents on the Kennedy assassination. And we're going to do that. And I also want to salute Bobby's decades of work as an advocate for the health of our families and our children. Nobody's done more.
Yep.
Millions and millions of Americans who want clean air, clean water, and a healthy nation have concerns about toxins in our environment and pesticides in our food. That's why today I'm repeating my pledge to establish a panel of top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases, including autoimmune disorders, autism, obesity, infertility, and many more. We want every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life.
One in the short
So I
sweet
just
life.
want to ask Bobby to speak for a little while. I'll stand aside. I'm going to stand aside. But I can only tell you, I've known him a long time. We've been a little bit on the opposite side of the equation, but I will say this, he is a brilliant, I still think of him as young. He's not that young. I always call him young, but he's not that young. But he is a phenomenal person, a phenomenal man who loves the people of this country as much as anybody can love the people of this country. So, Bobby, please say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. Now, a few hours after the assassination attempt at Butler, I got a call from a safe food advocate named Kelly Means, who's been fighting for many years to try to end the corruption at CDC and FDA and USDA. And these institutions, these regulatory agencies, are actually run by the big food processing companies, the big ag and the chemical companies that they're supposed to regulate. And he said to me that he'd been advising me for many years and on my campaign. And he told me that night that he was also advising President Trump. And he asked if I would talk to
We know you are, Vaughn.
I said, of course. And about a few minutes later, I got a call from the president, and we talked. We had a very good talk.
Shut.
Invited me to come see him the next day, and I went to Minneapolis and saw him. We met again a couple of weeks later in Florida, and we talked about, not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic. Our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want the regulatory agencies to be free from corporate corruption? And that's what President Trump told me that he wanted. He also told me that he wanted to end the grip of the neocons on U.S. foreign policy. He said he didn't want any more $200 billion wars in Ukraine, that we could use that money back here in the United States. And the best way to build a safe America is to rebuild our industrial base and rebuild the middle class in this country.
Yeah.
And don't you want a president who's going to get us out of the wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country?
Yeah.
And he told me that he wanted to end the censorship because the whole basis of American democracy is the free flow of information. And we know that a government that can silence its opponents has license for any kind of atrocity. And can you think of any time that you can look back in history
Really,
and say that the people who were censoring were the good guys? They're always the bad guys, because it's always the first step down that slippery slope to totalitarianism. And don't you want a president who's going to protect America's freedoms?
Yeah. People don't understand it. People just don't understand, and they never will. It's cool. They don't have to.
Is going to protect us against totalitarianism.
Dude, I wish this was a couple. I wish I wanted him VP.
Don't you want a safe environment for your children? Don't you want to know that the food that you're feeding them is not filled with chemicals that are going to give them cancer and chronic disease?
Right.
And don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I love it.
Thank you all very, very much, and God bless you, and God bless America.
Love it. Don Lucre's a good
They're
one.
legally robbing.
Yeah, he likes to troll in his wording.
Donald Trump to win the 2024 election. I know that's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people, but if you know me, it's not really as you might think it could be. Donald Trump winning this election will change this entire country in ways that we've never seen. And I'm talking about all of them will be positive. I'm not worried about what he would do to our country if and when he wins. It's what the opposition is going to do. You got to understand, a Donald Trump presidency most likely means we won't see a liberal president for a long time.
Yeah,
And that's
I
simply
can't.
because we've one time had a liberal domination of America. They completely dominated this whole country until Donald Trump came in
Yep.
and gave them an opponent that was worthy.
Yep.
He came in, he won an election. We
It's
saw
true.
how good it was. But at the same time, we saw through hate and propaganda of what the result of that was in 2020.
Yep.
Through propaganda, through the hate that was spewed through the media, people believed that Joe Biden could provide a better presidency, a better country for Americans. We found out all of that is completely false. So now the Great Awakening, it happened. Nothing could stop it. It happened. And it all happened due to Biden becoming president. What happens after? Now people have something to compare and contrast.
Yep.
They can say, well, now we can see what we can benefit from of having a president that isn't a part of the establishment. And we can see what happens when the establishment take back over. And it couldn't be any more clear because the vice president is actually running to be president. And she was right beside the president of the United States. She had her hand in this country. She had the ability to change, and she did this country. When the people wake up in November and they choose not to vote for Kamala Harris, this RFK announcement just pretty much solidified it. And did you know that she's been polling less since the DNC? Most independents, they didn't like the message. It didn't resonate with them. They felt like it was more or less a Biden. Independents at this point want cheaper groceries. Independents at this point want cheaper gas.
Mm.
When Democrats realize after Trump's win that there's a great chance they won't be able to regain power for the next 30 to 40 years, and that sounds like a stretch.
Yeah,
I'm
for
talking about
sure.
there is a
It's true though.
possibility for us to regain the House, the Senate, and presidency because they screwed up so bad.
They really did though.
What are
If
they
you
willing to do
if you
at
can't
that
see it,
point
then
when they
I
lose
don't know.
authority? What are they willing to do when they lose their power? The thing about it, we've seen Democrats do some very disingenuous things. And I'm not speaking about Democrat voters. So if you're a Democrat or liberal that's watching this, please don't get offended. Trust me, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the handlers. I'm talking about those that's in control. I'm talking about the media. And I'm talking about the politicians.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the regular Democrat that is choosing to vote with their heart to what they truly believe is right. Because what we have to understand as conservatives and what you have to understand as liberals, we all think we're the good guy. Only very few times throughout this entire war that we have between each other that we get confirmations that we're on the right part of this entire fight. Why do I say that? Because all of our talking points and all of our media, all of our visionaries, all of the leaders in our parties, most of the time, we sound pretty similar. So it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the two when you really start thinking about what everyone claims the root of the problem is. Sad. This whole thing is ran by puppet strings. Everyone knows it. But the worst part is what happens when we see a desperate Democrat Party? They're willing to be very cruel when they have power. What are they willing to be when they lose it? What are they willing to give to gain everything again?
Yeah.
You know, they understand culture, they control culture. What would they do to manipulate the culture against their own values and rules? We saw what happened during the Trump presidency. He couldn't breathe without getting bad publicity. I'm afraid for America because they set our country on fire when he won. Legit set them on fire. They made the border crisis as bad as they possibly could.
Mm. It's true.
They made America as hateful as the 1960s. All because a man that everyone could see with their eyes and hear with their ears, not being told by anyone and not being shown by anyone, but through their own perspective and their own experiences, that they could see that this is a candidate that is taking care of them, their children, their family.
I took two things that I love, dancing and dogs, and I made them into a successful business.
It takes a lot of propaganda for you to ignore what's in front of you.
Mm.
And for them to be able to manipulate the masses again, it will take events like we've never seen before. I fear for Americans if Democrats realize how over it is for the entire party. It isn't what it used to be. The fact Beyonce just bailed on Kamala like that tells you a lot. Because these celebrities now can have news that's leaked. Because TMZ leaked it and said that they apologized for getting it wrong. I find it odd. TMZ have a history. A lot of people don't know this. Look up the owner of TMZ. He has a history with an intelligence agency outside the United States, happening to be a ally of the United States. He has great, great, great information gathering skills. They don't really get things wrong,
Yeah.
especially something like Beyonce speaking at the DNC. What happens is these celebrities are starting to see they're getting more backlash than public support. And that leads to a drop in currency. And you can't allow that because that's what most people are actually speaking for. They're not speaking for the country, they're speaking for the dollar that the country represents.
Yeah.
And we all see that. So what's going to happen? They're going to lose more and more celebrities, or even worse, they're going to gain more and more desperate has-beens. Because the more you gain desperate has-beens, the more it appears that you're desperate yourself for some type of support. Didn't they used to say that about Republicans? I think so. I think they used to say that about Republicans. So things are coming full circle. It's coming full circle, and it's just as above, so below. It's nothing new under the sun. Those statements ring true. If you look back in the past, the conservative right controlled media back in the early like 90s. And it's hard when I bring this up to people. Look at the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Look at Family Matters. Look at the commercials back then. Typically on a television show, when it was time for people to eat, it wasn't strange to see them say grace. And it wasn't strange to see shows like Good Times and I know this is before the 90s, but it keeps on that conservative media whole grip. It just started to lose its hold in the 90s. So I say 90s because that was when it was at its final of its peak. They had control of the United States and the media. If you look at any of the
Your
black
Twitter
television
once they
shows, they had to
realize
speak
it.
about the
This is
importance
gonna
of
come out.
not being in jail,
Yeah.
the importance of
Fucking
having
Billy
protected
Baldwin.
intercourse. It spoke on the importance of having a nuclear family. Good Times did that. Many television shows did that. And now what we have is Bad Girls Club, Baddies, Pop the Balloon. These things are intentional. It shifted from family focus because it was conservative media. But the problem was conservatives started to indulge in cancel culture when it was too powerful. Canceling off Harry Potter, canceling off GTA, canceling off rock music, canceling off hip hop. Conservatives were once the same thing that we hate. And once you indulge in cancel culture, you become the villains, you become the bullies. When you become the bullies, it leads to public outcry and public support for those that claim to be bullied. Liberals end up taking over. Liberals ended up gaining control of our media, and the rest was history. They took cancel culture and made it more powerful than any conservative could have. And what we see is they became the bullies,
Girl.
and the rest of America noticed it, and they started to sympathize with those that's being bullied. There's a reason why presidential candidates that survive an assassination attempt, it almost guarantees that they win the election. People love an underdog, and people sympathize with the victim. I fear for what's
Okay.
about to happen
Appreciate
in
it.
America because the Democrats are going to be the victims. What are they willing to do to gain our sympathy yet again?
Ever wonder why so many people say they want to?
Nope. Don't. Yeah, he has a lot of good things he says. So Charlie Kirk is actually the one that hosted that event last night. Yeah, he had a speech. Switch his speech. I like Charlie Kirk.
You know,
He's kind of a little, odd, but he's cool. I like him.
someone who wants to be president had an event here.
He's the one that hosted this last night.
And she had to partition all this off because we draw a bigger crowd than Kamala Harris, don't we? It feels so good to be around all of you. I was in Chicago this last week, so you didn't have to go there. We already defeated one presidential candidate, so we might as well now defeat another one.
Yeah.
And what an honor, what a time to be alive in the most important election of our lifetime. I'm traveling the country, going to college campuses, we're organizing in the grassroots. We're talking to so many voters that know it is time for change. They know that something is wrong. They're tired of sending $200 billion overseas to Ukraine while we can't secure our southern border. They're tired of seeing our
For
homeless
some reason, I'm
vets
putting in the short feed.
while we prioritize foreigners
Yeah,
that
what
come
up,
into
bro?
our country. And by the way, what an insult to the legal immigrants in this
Is
country
that you, Vaughn?
that we allow
Decent
illegals
user.
to get luxury hotels who cut in line.
Yeah, they're not throwing this
know
in
that
the
something is
short
wrong.
feed at all.
And many of you waited hours and hours in line. By the way, who here was waiting in line overnight? We saw that. It was unbelievable. You're right up here, 24 hours in line. Because you know you are part of something bigger than yourself. You know that you are part of the most exciting, diverse,
How many
powerful
usernames do you
movement
have?
in the history of this country. And this movement is not about
My
Republican
hands
or
are cold.
Democrat. This movement is not about
I think
conservative
I'm
or
gonna
liberal.
restart the
And I
stream.
think you're
It's
going to
not
see
throwing
that
it in the
on
algorithm at all.
display in a little bit. Just maybe. This movement
Yo, what
is
up, Will?
about the citizens
Oh,
versus the
jeez.
oligarchs. This movement
How many
is
accounts
about
do you
we,
have,
the people,
Vaughn?
versus the ruling class. This movement
Will, you
is
never came
about
and got the
America
flag.
versus the globalists. This movement.
Will, what do you think of this format? I think I'm gonna have to restart the stream because they did not throw it in the algorithm like at all. I'm looking at it right now, and I literally got one view, thrown in one shorts feed and one vertical live feed. Damn, dude, you got a lot of accounts. Yeah, I think I'm gonna restart the stream here in a second.
Is about all of us
After this video, I'm gonna
against
restart.
them.
I don't know, dude. Listen. I came across people. They had like 400 or 500 people watching their stuff, dude. A lot of different people were streaming like this. You got 5 accounts. I have 4. Yeah, I seen a lot of people getting views, dude. It's crazy. I was looking at it. Like, look, if you go look, and if you go to my stream and then like scroll down, like right now about 221 this person, 627 this person just talking in the car. Let's see. Not looking for gaming. Yeah, Viva Trump. Yo, North South. What's up, bro? How you doing today? Go horizontal and compare. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm gonna do this, and then yeah, maybe I'll go horizontal afterwards.
Where does a guy get a right to say what a woman is? Women only know what women are.
And they know something is coming in November. You could see it. They're terrified because they've lost control. They've lost control of the narrative. Today, we saw the next chapter being written. You understand you're living through history being here today. You see, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, and the Democrats,
What's up, chat?
they say, vote for us. We won't improve your life, but keep on giving us power because we're going to lie relentlessly. We will raid your home and put you in prison if you disagree. Their idea of democracy is installing a candidate that no one has voted for.
Exactly. This is what I
And
said.
the old Democrat Party is dead. How many former Democrats do we have here tonight? Raise your hand. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. You are all welcome in this movement. You are all welcome in this movement.
Love it.
Because the new Democrat Party is not about what they
Let's
used
go.
to stand
We're at
for.
10 likes.
The new Democrat Party is about power.
It's true.
The new Democrat Party does not love the country the way that all of you do.
Yeah, it's not about the people anymore.
And
It never
how
really
amazing
was.
it today to see Bobby Kennedy Jr. endorse Donald Trump for the presidency of the United
Goated.
States?
Freaking goated. It was great. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wish he would have did it a little bit before and he would have been vice president. I feel like that'd have been the super team right there.
You know, this has been a wild summer, everybody. Donald Trump was convicted in a show trial. We had the earliest debate ever. Donald Trump was shot and survived, and by 2 centimeters, our country lived.
Yep. Kind of getting
We got a
cold.
new candidate. And maybe most remarkable of all, a Kennedy has endorsed a Republican for the presidency of the United States.
Yeah, that's crazy. No one saw that one coming, guys. No one. Well, I did, but I don't think anybody else did.
And you better believe they're scared. All the media, they're scared because they're supposed to have a monopolistic control. You saw the DNC. Watch us and obey.
Yep.
Watch us and obey. We're
Yep.
a movement of free thinkers. We don't agree on everything. We have different
Right.
opinions.
Right,
That's
that's
why
true.
our movement is going to win. In the Democrat Party, they say disagreement is not allowed. They don't believe in free speech.
It's
They
true.
don't believe in the free discourse of ideas. I think it's a wonderful thing that we could say we might disagree on the small
Yeah.
stuff, but we agree on the big stuff. We agree that we should prioritize American citizens over foreigners.
Yep.
We agree
It's true.
that it is a constitutional right that you should be able to speak.
I'm
that
gonna
the
just
government
stay on
should not
this,
be able
though.
to
I'm gonna
spy
try
on
to
us without
stream
a
out for a
warrant.
couple
We
hours.
agree that every human being is made in the image of God and deserves protection. We agree in your right to bear arms. We agree that the founding fathers were divinely inspired when they wrote the United States Constitution. The small stuff we can disagree on, but the differences are dramatic. And that is why we need to extend an olive branch to the Democrats in your life, the Democrats that still have a little bit of a free thinking. Now, I'm not talking about the Democrats that got the 9th booster shot and wore a mask while they showered. I'm not talking about those Democrats.
Yeah.
I just spent a couple days with those Democrats in Chicago. They were bragging about how many booster shots they got while they were waiting in line. I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking about the Democrat right now
Booster boy.
that is working as an Uber driver. I'm talking about the registered Democrat that is working with their hands to serve you food, and they cannot afford groceries. And maybe the only interaction that they will have with our movement is when you say, "How you doing?"
Booster boy.
I could barely get by. And you should say, you know what? If you vote for Donald Trump, you're actually not going to be taxed on your tips. This movement is growing and ascending because we all agree on the big stuff. We agree that the people
Yeah.
are the sovereign in this country. And we've seen in
No,
the last
Tyler, it's
30
Booster
years, the uniform
he/her.
on full display.
We don't
You
assume
know where the
gender.
wealthiest counties in America are? They're all around Washington, D.C. 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in America. So basically what they do is they tax you into oblivion. They make everything more expensive, and inflation is a tax, by the way. They take all of that money so that they can get richer and wealthier around the kingdom of Washington, D.C. And what do they produce? All they produce is more regulations, rules, and customs, and wars that put you in more jeopardy. A $6 trillion budget while we have to close down our factories. And they thought they could get away with it. And this is why they fear the man we are here to support today. Because it's more than just that he supports the right things. It's that he had the brilliant and uniquely American idea to bring all of you in the room where the deals are negotiated, where
Let's
you
get
get
it.
a seat at the table.
Mhm.
And they hate that.
He/her.
Because you're not supposed to be involved in this. You're supposed to just kind of be on the vote for me every 4 years, give me more political power, and stay out of my business. You're not supposed to be aware of what the spending bills are. You're not supposed to care that our communities are being overrun by people who are never invited
Yeah.
here, that newcomers are squeezing our social safety net. And what has happened is we are seeing an explosion in citizen participation. And this rally, you look around, this is incredible, is only a starting point. But what they will really fear, you know what the Democrats are going to be terrified? They're going to be terrified if every single person here makes a pledge and says, I'm going to go find 100 new voters, and I'm going to go make sure they vote. We have nearly 16,000 people and thousands of people outside. We'll get the final count. If everyone here just found 10 new voters, that would be 160,000 new voters here in the state of Arizona, nearly 16 times what the ballot shortage was in 2020. You want to make it too big to rig? Let me tell you the open secret of this event. This room can deliver the state of Arizona for Donald J. Trump. This room, all of us together, this room. And it's as simple as, I'm going to go download the Turning Point Action app. I'm going to make sure that my brother, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, my aunt, my cousin, my Uber driver, my waiter, my waitress, are you registered to vote? Nah, it's a waste of time. No. I'm not asking you to storm the beaches of Normandy. I'm asking you to fill out a piece of form, fill out a paper, put it in the mail. 5 minutes, and I better never hear you complain about inflation again if you don't fill out that ballot.
School is back, and Dick's Sporting Goods has what you need to win your year. Check backpacks off your list.
On October 7th, which is tragically the anniversary of the terrible massacre in Israel, ballots go out in this state. Ballots are going to be scattered all across this state. What the Democrats do is they will deploy thousands of paid operatives to go find those ballots, to try to chase them and get them into the system.
No
Now,
sour,
I'm not
no
here to try
mask.
to change your method of voting if you want to go vote on Election Day. All for it, I get it. But I am going to say, for the plumber, the electrician, the welder, for the person that's never voted before, we want them to hopefully try to vote early than not vote at all. For the people that never vote, it's a waste of time, it's a whatever, say, hey, knock on their door. Can you get this piece of paper and put it in the mail? Or how about this? If we say that everything's going to work perfectly, remember what happened in 2022 when half of all the machines failed? And Kerry Lake should be governor of this state if all those machines actually worked? So if you are looking for a way to get involved, if you say, Charlie, I can't take it anymore, I'm tired of being a spectator, I want to be a participant, we have to flood the zone. And remember that Election Day is the last day of voting, not the first day of voting. Think of it this way. Our supporters are so fired up to vote for Donald Trump. Shouldn't we give our movement more days, not less days, to go vote for the 47th President of the United States?
Yeah, but that's the way they rig it.
And how tragic it would be if we flood the polls on only one day and the machines go down and we have 4-hour waiting lines and the single mom that wants to vote for Donald Trump
We'll
says,
be live streaming
that.
that.
Too bad, I bet Trump wins anyway. And we fall 10,000 votes short.
Yep.
If you are willing to wait 4 hours in line, God bless you, because many of you just waited 4 hours in line to come to this rally. I think it's great. But we have to think and remember, this movement expands to people that don't have the time, the capacity, the energy, or the spirit. I'm going to close with this.
And I'm going to go early in the
This
day.
election is the hardest I've ever worked
Yeah.
towards a
Will's
single
not for
objective in my
president.
life.
Will's in the
We've
cabinet,
done a lot
bro.
of things at Turning Point, by the way. Largest high school program in the country, largest college program in the country, now the largest ballot chasing operation in the country. And thank you for all of you that have supported it. It's absolutely amazing. Donald Trump alone will not carry this election. Think about how much he's already done.
Medicine cabinet.
And how much he's been through. He's taken the entire country and he's put it on his back. Try to take his business empire away from him, sue him, slander him, indict him. He has sentencing coming up in September. He's been shot. And let me just say one other thing on this. I believe that was the most witnessed televised miracle in history. The glory of God saving Donald Trump's life. And let us give God the glory. What will be the differentiator? Because the Democrats are already saying it's going to come down to a couple hundred
We'll
thousand
figure
votes
it
now.
out.
Here's the difference maker. In 2020, we fell 41,000 ballots
We'll
short.
be in charge of golf
So I want you to think back to 2020 of what you didn't do,
and Bigfoot
of the door you
reveals.
didn't knock on, of the friend you didn't pester.
Yeah, that'll be Will's place in the cabinet. He'll be in charge of the truth about Bigfoot.
To get the ballot in, of the friend that you didn't text. And then I want you to do that, and then I want you to double it. The difference maker is this. We will be outspent. The media will lie about our movement. They will lie about Donald Trump. But they can't control you. And they know it.
It's like exposing the FBI or something, dude. I think I need to put a hoodie on. I'm kind of cold. I'll let this play. I'll be right back.
There will be fake polls. There will be suppression polls. But this election will be a testament that the fighting spirit of the American people is alive and well, that we're willing to do the work, that the conservative grassroots are willing to go out in 106-degree weather and knock on the door of the single mom and say, let's get that ballot in, let's get that ballot in. You're going to keep on showing up until that ballot is in the mail. We have an amazing opportunity in front of us. It's not going to be easy. There will be ups and there will be downs. But I want you to remember this moment. I want you to be fired up and encouraged because you are not alone. You have been gaslit these last 4 days watching the DNC. And today we put on full display the strength, the width, the depth of this incredible movement. I can tell you, looking at where this country is and what would happen if Kamala Harris becomes president, price controls, open borders, maybe World War III. Thankfully, that's a new one. They're chanting crazy, crazy Kamala. It's a new one. By the way, I wouldn't expect anything different. It's a group of young conservative men. You know young men are the most conservative they've been in 50 years, by the way? It's great. Today is our 2-year-old's birthday. And I look at my daughter, and that is my why. And for those of you that are parents, you know exactly what I mean. Knock on that extra door. Go that extra mile. Talk to that extra friend. Because throughout voting month and culminating on the 5th of November, I believe it will go down as a day that people remember, as a day that is written about in history books, as the final battle from the golden escalator on down, from defeating Hillary Clinton, from the nonsense of 2020, from Butler, Pennsylvania, November 5th, it all culminates where we restore the promise that the founders gave us. And they said, hey, if the people want it, the people get it. And we, the people, take back America. God bless Arizona, and thank you so much.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I gotta take a fucking Benadryl. Last time, this one time when I was in high school, I got sick. I like kind of how I felt the other last week because I was just getting over it. And afterwards, when I went back to school and stuff, like I noticed, like I was getting like when I would get cold, my body would like start breaking out in hives, and I think it's doing it again. Oh, I'm glad I had some Benadryl on deck. Like, it's crazy. It's really weird. It's called, like, cold urticaria or something like that. So that was cool to see. Oh, this was hilarious. Did you guys ever see this? Right, he's such a troll. Oh, here, no. Hold on, we'll watch that in a second. Let's watch this.
And it helps make us better citizens of Allen. That's all. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate that input, and I will tell you that since what you present is not necessarily on our agenda, we can't necessarily discuss it, but we can refer that to the city manager to have him look into doing something to respond to your comments. Thank you. Next, we have
Alex Stein is so funny.
Primetime Stein.
Hey, I'm going to restart the stream. I just want to see if it'll throw it in the algorithm. I'll be right back, you guys. Make sure to come back. I'm literally going to restart it right away.